All right, so and by Edgar Wright, and I always confuse Edgar Wright with another director, and I can't even remember who it is. So I'm always like, did he do that movie or anyway? It doesn't matter. Um, this movie, the trailer back in the day, if you guys have been listeners for a while, I was very hyped on this trailer. I was like, man, this looks awesome. It's basically just this little girl, and she's going to fashion school, and she moves to London, and you learn through the beginning of illness, and so you kind of get an idea of maybe she will. Why is that face, Michael?
Because you
You're
cut
just
out.
freezing a lot.
You're freezing a lot.
Yeah, you cut out a lot.
Dang it!
It's weird. It doesn't do it when you yell.
Yell your whole intro.
Should I restart or something? Like restart my computer?
No, it's our internet. It's not your computer.
Okay. Well, I'm just gonna go off where I was going. So there's a little girl. I say little girl. I guess she's college age, and she's hoping to get accepted to a fashion school. That happens. You find out her mom had mental illness and stuff, and so you think, oh, maybe there's something. And then she goes to London, and she's a little girl. She's not. She's a girl from the country.
Young woman, Alex. A young woman.
Young woman. She's and oh, also I meant to look it up. Is this the daughter of the lady from National Treasure? Because she looks exactly like her. I meant to look that up.
No.
No. I am just really bad at these.
Her mom is an actress, but it's not that one.
Thinking that someone's their parent. Anyway, man, what? She looks exactly like her. Anyway, so she moves in. She goes into the dorms and she hates it because she hates her roommate. So she moves into this house, and this house is just like amplifying her mental struggles. And every night she goes to bed. She goes back in time. It's like midnight in Paris, but a lot darker. So anyway, and then she starts to understand this person's life that lived back in the day. She starts to even emulate herself after her with her haircuts, her style. She seems to really admire this person. And then she witnesses this person go through really difficult stuff, like fall under sex trafficking. I don't really understand. Sex trafficking that's like totally against your will. This would be more just be like she's a
prostitute.
Prostitute. Yeah.
Forced prostitution.
Yeah. I mean, but she chooses it. He says like this is what everyone does, right? It's hard to say chooses. It's
difficult. But I think he kind of manipulated her into
it. I'm not demeaning like people who so anyway, and then she ends up seeing this girl murdered. And then so she has to go, she tries to figure out how it happened, what her name was, because she only knows her first name. And we can talk about the ending as we get there. I think this movie was mostly pretty awesome. I really liked it. I think that the ending was a little predictable. I mean, from the moment, again, spoilers for everything to talk about, pretty much from the moment the old lady was in there, I was like, that's her.
Yeah, as soon as I saw her, I was like, that's the person from the past.
Yeah. They even have a line of like something like she never left there or something. I can't remember what it was, and I was like, yeah, that's her. And I did think that old guy was Jack at first. It seemed like that was less likely towards the end because it felt so obvious. I would say up until the point where she goes downstairs at the place she works and she confronts him. Up until that point, I say this movie's a 10 out of 10. I loved it.
Really?
After that, it's a little predictable. It's a little dramatic, maybe. Didn't hate it. Didn't hate the ending. I still think it was fun. But man, everything from like her like switching places with her in the mirror throughout the movie, all the mirrors, and like her walking down the staircase and her like right there with her in her like nightgown and stuff. And Matt Smith, oh my God, every time I see him in anything, it's just wonderful. Like, he's just someone.
It's a very bad person in this one.
I know, but like his performance is like, I genuinely get very excited about his performances, and I think he nails them. I just think I've never seen him act badly, and I love his characters. Anyway, great stuff. Yeah, I just think this movie is dripping with style. There's that shot from the trailer where she like throws her comforters or her sheets over her head, and it just zooms out as if her bed is like the size of Rhode Island. And shots like that were so cool. I love the style. This movie's dripping in style, and I love it. And I love the kind of like mental stuff they're throwing her through, where she's sympathetic toward this girl and ends up not being maybe as warranted as she thought. Yeah, so I mostly really like this movie. I would say I probably didn't like it as much as I wanted to, just because the ending it's very vanilla ending. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I actually really want to know what Michael has to think, so I'm gonna throw it to him.
I like this movie to a point, the same, probably a point sooner than you did. Like, I thought most of this movie was super, super great. It just, when it started going too big is when I started falling off of it. It started getting like, zombie dudes everywhere, her seeing stuff everywhere, everything becomes this big criminal thing. Like, I wanted the Anya Joy-Taylor character to be murdered, and I wanted Jack to be the old guy and him to be back. I wanted it to be simple, plain cut, and I wanted to see how he was going to end it that way. I wanted to see what the end goal was for the story that was being told. But then it went into, old ladies. I just feel like it got too much whenever it got to the point where, well, one, the first part that was too much, it doesn't really matter that much, but when he gets hit by the car, super extremely unnecessary, the old guy, because it's like, why not just have the bartender be like, hey, what was his name? Leslie. Like, and she's like, wait, what? Like, she's in some freak out mode.
Leslie?
Was it Leslie? Or I thought it was Leslie. Anyway, whatever his name was.
That was Lindsay.
Lindsay, yeah. Lindsay.
Was it? Oh. Anyway,
Is it Lindsay?
Whenever I feel like that could have been a much cleaner, less absurd way than him like bashing his head in front of a taxi in a slow driving road. I don't know, it's just a bit much.
I know, right?
It's like, do we have to go
Lindsay,
that far?
It is Lindsay.
Lindsay, okay.
Lindsay.
But
who played him in the past? That guy looks super familiar. Do you guys know him?
Finnick from
Hunger
Games, right?
Yeah. And
yeah. Okay.
Did a bunch of stuff. I like that actor a lot. I was
I
kind of excited when I saw him. I was like, oh, good. I hope he comes in more. But that was kind of the other part you saw him in.
Wasn't he in that movie Ben Loves with Emilia Clarke?
Yeah,
I don't remember what that is.
Me Before You?
Yeah.
Yes, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so kind of started from that point, and then it just kind of got bigger and bigger, and like she was seeing things everywhere, and I wanted to be more isolated within just like I didn't like whenever she started like seeing like the library and all these zombies are coming out or stuff like that, or zombies, whatever you want to call it, ghosts. I wanted to be a little more isolated and focused rather than, hey, everything's horror everywhere. Like, I felt like we got the same scene like 6 times where she's in a public space and she gets scared and freaks out. And I'm like, okay, we get the picture. Like, I get you're trying to make us feel uncomfortable. Like, oh, this is weird and da-da-da. And she's, oh, people don't believe her or whatever. But I don't know. And then it got to the point where, like I said, I wanted Anya Joy-Taylor's character to be dead. I wanted to be like, to figure out what happened, like officially, and it not be some old crazy lady who stabbed a bunch of dudes and buried the bunch of dudes in the building and the building burned down. It just turned into way more of a typical horror movie at the end of it than I felt like it was leading up to, this murder mystery that had horror elements to it rather than just, the horror formula. But
yeah, and the twist felt so like forced. Like it was like, we have to surprise our audience. So, actually, she didn't die. It's the old lady you live with, and I don't know.
Yeah, just crazy about doing like the villainous old bat lady it's like, that's just been done. We don't need that. But yeah, so I like the rest of the movie. I think is fantastic. Like the whole tone, like the tension that it builds, and like the characters that, although her friend Jonathan, whatever the black guy's name was, like all I kept thinking the entire time was Wybie from Caroline. Like he was just that's like this kind of, he kind of had a weird posture, and he's like, hey, just kind of in the background, hey, all the time, hey Caroline, hey, just like I was like, what are you doing?
he was very like
He's
cartoonish.
a very weird character. But apart from that, like I don't know, I loved like Alex said, all the cinematography is so freaking cool. Like especially, I kept thinking like during the dance scene, like how well it flowed with him
Yes.
changing who he's dancing with, and I'm like there's not a hiccup in sight of like how they're flowing and just changing between Anya and the Elise or whatever, or Ellie. I don't know the actual actress's name, but it's like I don't know, that was just so well done. Just all that kind of build up and that kind of like that because everyone the whole movie starts with them warning, hey, London isn't what you expect. London isn't what you think it's gonna be. There's bad people there, but London's full of bad people. And you kind of have that like heavy turn where Matt Smith is like, you're gonna do what I say because I own you now, basically. Like he just kind of take ownership over her and that kind of like heavy turn of her of living this. It's like the classic Hollywood style of like, hey, I'm gonna go be an actress, or whatever. But I just felt like it was done really, really well, really darkly in that kind of like build up of just like I feel like, and that is a tribute to Matt Smith's character of just like being so charming. And I feel like he really drew her in so well, and also the writing and the cinematography. But I feel like that turn was probably my favorite part of the movie. Whenever it just turns to it, like just that darkness, because like even I feel like I guess the real boon to the story or how the film was told was being seen through her eyes, like Ellie's eyes, because she sees it. She's like, this is so wonderful. This is all I've wanted. This is what I came here to do and came here to be. And then that next dream she has is just like, hey, that's a beautiful name, whatever. That's a beautiful name. Like she just sees this kind of degrade. I feel like that's such a well done thing in this movie where that's my favorite part of this movie is just like that story being told, and the rest I was like, yeah, not a fan of, but I liked it though. That was great. Great acting, great cinematography, great.
Yeah.
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 Bouncing off of that, like where you talked about how that. What am I skipping again?
No. You went.
You're good,
I think it was your own voice that was skipping, not the internet that time.
Yeah. Wicca. Okay, so whenever kind of what you're talking about, where the first night she's like, or sorry, she dreams, wakes up, she's in love with this place. She's like, oh, great, and she can't wait to go to sleep that night.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
because like even he invites her out, and she's like, actually, I'm busy, because she's like so excited
Yeah.
to go back to sleep. And then that, to your point, like after that I think maybe that night or the next night or whatever, it's like then she's afraid to go to sleep, which is so cool.
It's a really cool turn it does, but I just wish it had kept that kind of down tone storytelling rather than this big, like especially the last scene was visually cool, but all the hands coming and everything, like it's just so much. It's like
Yeah,
you don't need. I feel
That's
like
how I felt too.
just like wait,
Basically,
they did they pulled a Get Out is what they did.
Yeah, 100%. Just made it too
perfect 2/3 of a movie, and then okay last
Just like-
third.
just bombastic. I don't know, but anyway, we'll keep going in our little circle here, Joseph. I'll throw it up to you on my screen anyway.
Am I on your circle? Okay. Yeah, I have the same exact feeling as you guys. I think this story is like really cool, and like the music is so awesome in this
Yeah.
music. I really love the music in it. And I love that the tales of people like going into the past. And I think like you said, this movie, the like main message is the movie is like the kind of grass is always greener, or our nostalgia is always rose tinted instead of being clear like there was. I think the movie does a really good job of showing how bad women had it back in the 60s. um and like she shouldn't want to go back to that time because she would probably have a worse time than she is having right now. But yeah, for me, it like I didn't like the horror parts of it. Not I like the ghosts seem kind of really like cheesy. The ghosts that she keeps seeing, like it kind of seemed like the haunted mansion, like at Disneyland. It's like they're so fake looking, kind of. So basically, yeah. Once that's the stuff started happening, like I think when they go to the dance and stuff, and she starts singing there, it got a little too much for me. And there was even like a warning at my theater about the flashing lights in this movie. So maybe I was having an attack, but no. Well, I also really like having a character who's like mentally not stable. I think that's like really cool. I really like that. because like early on she sees her mom and like the grandma asks, "You're not seeing her, right?" And even though she is, she tells her not to. And I think that's really cool that she's like trying to like live with her illness instead of just like having it totally under control. I think that's like a really cool idea for this. And like the all the style was cool, like you guys were saying. How like even like the new London was cool. I like
Yeah.
seeing that, like Soho and stuff. Like, because I don't really know much about New London right now. I don't really watch London shows or anything, but um, yeah. So all that stuff, I think the story's really good. It's just like it's not presented in a way that I liked, especially the end part of it. Through the horror lens, I think they could have went just like more thriller with this, and maybe in I don't mind if they would have had like a scene of horror, like maybe that first time when she first finds out that like that it wasn't so happy back then, and like um, a scene of horror wouldn't have bothered me, but I wish they would have done like other stuff, more shown her like mental illness in other ways than just the ghosts and stuff like that. And then for me, the ending I didn't like about it was like the fantastical elements of it, like the when she's in the like when she's in the bed and like all the people are grabbing
Yeah.
her and stuff like that. I didn't really like
Yeah.
that. And then they come and they give her the phone and they're like, "Help me, help me!" And
Yeah, I didn't like
it
that at
was
all.
yeah, it was kind of weird because even in the movie, she's like, "Ew, no, I'm not helping you. You guys kind of deserve this." So that part, I guess I'd rather just have like a just like I didn't mind the old lady being the killer or being the villain, but if they would have just played it like in a more normal, like maybe like a faster ending, or like, "Oh, I'm gonna kill you real fast," but no, I gotta wait or something like that. um, so yeah, so that kind of yeah, I just totally agree. It's a great story. It had like I said, great music, great style. It's just in a lens that I didn't really care for. So um, that's kind of my take on it. So I'll let Jared go since he's like the horror guy in this group.
Um, I agree with all of you. I would say up to 3/4. It was like a perfect movie for me. I really like the aspect of like unromanticizing the past. I thought that was really cool. Like I really gravitated towards that. And when it kind of went off of that, I got less interested. I wanted it to be like just this fashion designer student to just go unhinged from all the stress and stuff like that. I thought that would have been really cool.
You just want another Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah. Just
No,
darker.
because I want the darkness.
I'm just kidding.
I liked all the acting was good, especially between the main two girls. I did like John. He was super delightful. He was just a good guy. Like I was like, oh, please don't get hurt, and he did get hurt. And I was like, no, John.
I like when he got her
Um,
the coke that said sorry on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was really
adorable.
sweet.
I was like, I actually saw this by myself in the theater because I was the only one in there, and it was very nice. I had a lot to talk about, but you guys already covered it.
Have to go last sometimes.
Very predictable. Like you guys said with that old lady. I don't know. I like Edgar Wright movies. He's one of my favorite directors. I like the style that he brings to his movies. Always love the musical choices he makes. But yeah, I just liked it all. I never. One thing I'll disagree with, because I'm not a huge fan of Matt Smith. I didn't find him charming at all from like any point.
Whoa.
He was always kind of just like a sleazebag.
Wow.
But I'm not saying like he was a bad actor. I'm just saying that's what I got off his character. I never found him
Right.
charming. And if that's what he's going for, he played it very well. Like Michael said, that dancing scene where they're just transitioning between both actresses was really good. I actually like the scene. I think the best use of the horror was when she was at the library looking up all the past like victims and like um
That
that's
was
when
tense
the
whenever she had the
ghost
scissors.
yeah.
I thought
And
she,
you're like,
I
"Oh,
thought she,
please
I
don't
thought
kill
John was
someone."
going. I thought John was going out. I was like, this is the end of John. He's done.
Oh,
But yeah, like Alex was super hyped for this trailer. Like if you listen to the past episodes, I wasn't. I had my like reservations about it. I was like, I don't know what this is going for. I don't really have much need to see it. But I think I'm like the most positive like after watching it because I really enjoyed it. Like up to 3/4 is like perfect, and then they kind of like they lost. It kind of just lost steam, I guess. But I really
Yeah.
enjoyed it. That's pretty much all I have to say.
I think that I think I totally agree with your assessment of like the first 3/4 is perfect. So, I think it's just disappointing just because I really wanted to be a perfect 10. Like it's
yeah.
kind of like how that I actually really love Midsommar, but it's like that ending it's so disappointing that it's like
Yeah.
I feel almost negative when I think about Midsommar, even though I love that movie. So I feel like this ending isn't nearly as bad as that ending. So I feel like I almost weirdly like this movie more. But there were a couple things that I remembered. Maybe pull up. I just put them in my notes so I wouldn't forget. Yeah, a few things like Michael and I, we were both we were the only people in our theater today as well. And
Really?
yeah, that's why the surround sound was really good because like Michael was saying, like I kept looking behind me because it sounded like people were talking behind me. And
Yeah.
but it was
Really?
and I might have not done that. I might have been just annoyed with people that were actually innocent if there were people in our theater. I would have been like, keep it down. But anyway, that was pretty funny. But kind of going off of that, like, this movie's kind of confusing too, where it has a horror element, but I can't remember being scared once in this movie. Like I was like
No.
totally
More of a
calm.
tension horror
It's like
rather than like fear horror.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
There's
guess.
one jump scene, but you can see it coming like really because she like goes into the bathroom and
Oh.
when she opens the door, there's
I actually
gonna be
didn't
something
expect her to
Oh,
look
yeah,
back and
yeah,
it'd be back to
yeah.
the thing.
there.
Speaking of jump scares, during Eternals, that old couple, one of the deviants like jumped out, and the old guy was like, "Oh no, oh."
boy.
He's like, "What'd that deviant say?" He's like,
That's
"Rawr."
He growled. Oh, that's stupid.
Went last night to this movie and it was packed.
Oh, nice.
But it was like
Oh.
it was a little theater, but there was lots
Yeah.
of people in it.
Yeah, we went on a Sunday afternoon, so don't think anyone was
Yeah,
down
so-
for a.
Yeah.
I went to Thursday afternoon, and it was a tiny theater. It was like 4 rows.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I was like, I'm gonna rent a theater
Yeah, it's
out
kind
like
of
this
fun
again.
to watch in there. Yeah.
We had that lady who
That's
took
funny.
our tickets, whatever. She was like, she looked down, she saw tickets, got all excited. She's like, "Oh, have you seen it yet? Oh, this is my favorite movie this year." Like last
Wow.
year, what was the movie she mentioned last year, Alex?
It was like The Perfect Woman or something.
Yeah, something like that. She was like, "That was my favorite movie last year. Well, this is my favorite this year. So you guys go see it. It's great." We're like, "All right, we're on our way."
It was
Right
like
there.
it's great twists and turns. Like she was
She was all about
you
it.
could
For
You
you.
you could totally believe that she would go home and she's got like a stack of mystery novels she's working through. Like anyway, yeah, but to that point, it's kind of weird. It doesn't bother me about the horror because it's like it's almost like just like Michael was saying, like a stylized tension type horror. And it's not really
But-
meant to be like actually horrifying.
Yeah, the horror it reminded me of is I don't know if any of you guys seen this. It's called Single White Female, where she just like she has a roommate and she gets really obsessed with her and she like starts to become her too. She starts to look like her, and that's what it kind of felt like when I was
Yeah.
watching it.
Yeah, I can see that. And then the last thing that I have to say though is that I don't get the last shot. She looks in the mirror and sees her, and then like they touch fingers. I was like, this is stupid.
I
So
kind of like that. That was kind of cool. It was,
No, what does it
It's
mean?
stupid.
it's like when she first sees her, she does that to the mirror, like
Right.
when she first does it. So it's like she's saying that she's staying with her.
That like
That's stupid.
both of them were going to London to fulfill their dream, and she did it. So it's kind of like, hey, you did it, ding, yay.
That is so dumb because so she's like she connects to her early on because I feel like she relates to her and she's like she admires her, and at the end of the movie it's like, hey, I know that you killed all those people and I actually
Well,
stopped you from
I
doing that,
think-
but we're still good, we're still buddies.
I think that version of her was like her inner self, like what she wanted to be, not that it was the old lady.
Not
But
the actual.
yeah,
Sure, but I don't think it actually fits with the character because to me it's like I feel like you would feel too betrayed. Like you had this person you thought that they were, and then they didn't end up being that person. You even thought that they got killed. You thought you witnessed them killing or being killed, and then it turns out that they were killing the other person. I don't buy that she would just be like, oh hey, I remember you.
I think it's more like now you're
do
part
that to
of
you
my.
all the time now.
Do what, Joe?
The finger thing. Oh,
I think it's just more like now you're a part of my life. Like you're like the mom is in her head now. Now she's in her head now.
She's
I don't
crazy
buy it.
and she's making clothes, Alex. That's all you need to know.
Oh! How can I forget too? So I don't buy that. I don't buy it, Joe. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But also, God, this is I totally forgot about this. This is a terrible ending. Like beyond the twist ending. The twist ending isn't terrible. I just don't, it's whatever. But the ending of her like having her fashion show and everything's great, everything worked out for you, and I was like, this is so stupid. Like, I feel like it does not understand what this movie is, and it's like it's that terrible thing where like, oh, this person goes through terrible stuff, but then it's fine, everything's fine in the end. Like you achieved your dream, and God,
It was weird that she stayed with kind of the '60s motif for her fashion show. You think she would have gone like more futuristic now, but that's the only thing that bothered me with that ending.
But like, it's so cheesy. It's like, oh, well, you went through your hardships, and yeah, you've got mental illness, but does it really bother you anymore? It's like, God, it's so dumb. I hate it.
well, the teacher said you got something here with this '60s stuff. Maybe that's why she
true.
stayed with.
Yeah, maybe that's why. She still likes the '60s, even though she's witnessed the most horrifying things. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Sorry.